So from the writer of the Left Behind series, Jerry B. Jenkins, and prolific Christian author Chris Fabry, comes a Christian middle grade fantasy series that's just kind of meh? Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and I'm here to give you a spoiler-free review of The Changeling, Book 3 in the Wormling series by Jerry B. Jenkins and Chris Fabry, published by Tyndale Publishers. This is a spoiler-free review. However, this is book number 3 of this series, so there will be spoilers for books 1 and 2, The Book of the King and Sword of the Wormling. So if you have not read either one of these, definitely go check those out first and then come back to this. Otherwise, if you're okay with some slight spoilers for those books, here's a review of book number 3, The Changeling. I read books 1 and 2 of this series back in 2007 when they released, which has been many years now. So, I forgot a lot of stuff about these books. When I was rereading this series, I kept thinking, wait, who is this? What's this character? In fact, in book 3, there's a character named Watcher, who is in books 1 and 2, but I could not for the life of me remember, is Watcher a goat? Because Watcher has hooves, Watcher has fur, and Watcher seems to walk on all fours like a horse, but is not a horse? So I was confused because this book did not give a lot of context clues at all to things that have happened in the past. So it was a little tricky to get back into this series as I was reading book 3 because I read book 3 in 2023 instead of in 2007, right after the other books had come out. So I was a little bit lost, but I will say I soon got into the pace of the book very quickly because this book, even though it's 324 pages, it is only it's 74 chapters. And these chapters come very fast and very quick. So it's like a page sometimes, and then there's another chapter. So these chapters are very, very short, so it makes reading this book super quick and super easy. So I did enjoy reading it. Even though it's been a while since I read the first 2 books, I actually really did like reading this one. So the plot is Owen Reader has one superpower. He knows how to read, and he's a great reader. He reads a lot. And when he is given a special mission by the King of the Lowlands, he goes on a quest to find the missing son of the king. As he's searching the lowlands for the son of the king, there is an enemy, the dragon, who is trying to stop him at every turn. And this time, the dragon has sent one of his most devious helpers to go take Owen down, and that is the Changeling. Now, the Changeling can transform into any person that anyone can even think of, because it can slightly read minds, and so it can kind of read the tip of your mind and turn into people that you know. So the Changeling is out to trick Owen, trying to stop him from completing his quest to find the son who is missing in the lowlands. He has by his side Watcher, who can see invisible creatures of the enemy. He has his Sword of the Wormling, which can heal people and also can come back to him when he shouts something like sword. The sword can come flying to him. He has his friend the Bookworm named Mucker, who can help out in lots of different kinds of situations. It is a literal worm. And then he also has the Book of the King, which is like the Bible in this story, which guides him. So will Owen be able to find the king? You have to read to find out, because this is a spoiler-free review. Now, the pacing, like I said, is very quick. The short chapters make this book just fly by. I read it so fast, I just kept going and going and going because it was just so easy to read. You can pick it up and read for like 5 minutes and finish 3 chapters. So it makes it for a very quick read. However, there's very little description of settings and people and places. So sometimes I would be reading and thinking, wait, where are we? Are we in a cave? What does this look like? What's going on exactly? Because there wasn't always a lot of description of what was exactly happening, just kind of plot points and people moving around, as well as the action being described. There is some action in the story which moves it along quite a bit, and it's pretty well done. There are some intense sequences of fantasy action that will definitely keep you reading because you want to know what happens next. Like I said, I think this is a really quick read. However, it is a little choppy, which I completely blame Jerry B. Jenkins for, because Jerry B. Jenkins has this kind of chopped style of writing where he gets right to the point, moves right along, sort of like a Dan Brown for Christians, so to speak. Like, he just moves along at a very clipped pace. So I think this book might be good for reluctant readers who like fantasy stories but are a little intimidated by really long fantasy books. This one could be a great one for them because it's an easy access, because the chapters come so quick, so you feel like you're making a lot of progress really quickly. The characters and villains. Owen is a really likable character. He is friendly, he's kind, he's brave, he's courageous, all those sorts of things. However, he has a very stilted dialogue style, and this goes back to something that I see a lot of authors do, is sometimes when authors have not been around children ever, they don't really know how they talk. Or if they are one who more talks to kids and listens to kids talk to them, you just don't pick up on the nuances always of how kids speak. So I feel like sometimes Owen talks like a weird mash of a grown-up, but sort of a kid, and his dialogue just comes across really, really stilted, in my opinion. And I think that if there had been a little more care given to his dialogue, it would have been a lot better. However, there's also not really any character growth for Owen. Who he is at the beginning internally and emotionally is who he is at the end of the book. This is more about finding information, sort of. Like, he finds information throughout the story, and that is what builds the tension and plot along, rather than an internal change inside of Owen. So I will say the villains here are goofy. Sometimes they make a lot of jokes, and there's a lot of jokes in the writing narration about the villains. However, they are also very menacing. The villains here pull through on their threats. They are not easily defeated. They are evil, and they are very much a threat to Owen and his friends. And there are some parts of this book where the villains do some things that I thought, whoa, you went there? Tyndale let you go there? That's pretty intense for a kid's book. So there is definitely a good villain mix here of some sort of goofiness, but also menacing. As far as excitement for the next book, I will say I did not gasp even once while reading this book. Usually, okay, so to explain, whenever I'm reading a book, I kind of measure how good it is by if it can surprise me. I love being surprised when I read. I love a good plot twist. I love a good character revelation. I love a good change in a person that's kind of surprising, not in an inorganic sense, but in a, wow, you changed, like this has happened. This is where you are now. So that is really one of the things that's so important to me when I read a book. In this book, I enjoyed it, but I never gasped once. In fact, I actually guessed the ending before I even got there. I was probably like 50 pages in and I thought, I bet this is this, and this is this, and that's going to be that. And it ended up being it, which I wasn't disappointed by. I was actually thinking, well, that will be interesting if they do that, and then they did it. So I feel like there's some interesting things going on in the plot, as well as with the characters, but I can't tell you about them because spoilers. So I am excited to read the next book, actually. The next book in the series is The Minions of Time, book number 4. And I actually am intrigued to read it because I want to know what happens next. I have to find out what's going on with the characters, what's going to happen, what's going to take place here. So I really do want to read this book and see what happens next. I won't say that it is one of those books where I have to drop everything else I'm reading to see what happens in this one. I actually am reading some other books already between these, so obviously I'm okay not getting right to the book, but I am excited to read it, see what happens next, see how they wrap up the storyline in books 4 and 5. So would I recommend The Changeling, book number 3 of the Wormling series? I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was good, but it wasn't amazing and it wasn't bad. So it's just kind of in the middle, kind of mid. So it's great for younger readers of books like the Chronicles of Narnia. If you're an older reader who enjoys Chronicles of Narnia, I don't think you'll like this. There is a lot of allegory in this book and a lot of allusions to biblical themes. but it's a little more ham-fisted than in the Chronicles of Narnia, if that makes sense. Chronicles of Narnia, in my opinion, is a little more sophisticated than this series. Also, if you're fans of the Juno trilogy by Kim Engelman or fans of the Archives of Anthropos by John White, this is really up your alley. It's a portal fantasy with kids who are likable and fun, and there's a lot of adventure and action. So if you're into those sorts of things, you like middle grade Christian fiction, this could be a good pickup for you. It's a lot of fun. So all said, The Changeling, book number 3 in the Wormling series. It was a fun read. I enjoyed it. Will you enjoy it? You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. Have you read this series at all? Let me know in the comments. And we'll see you next time. Keep reading. Bye.